I've been officially pronounced alive. Yay! Which of course has a great meaning here because we've all come together to celebrate life. That is what breathwork is about. It is celebrating the life that we have and the breath that we share. So we have been invited by the Spirit of Breath to discover some new things and share them with each other this week. I always like to start by paying reverence or homage to the Spirit of Breath with a little opening breath meditation. So I'd ask you all, both in person and virtually, to get yourself comfortably situated. And if it's comfortable for you, let your eyes close, and as you focus your attention on the base of your spine, imagine a ball of radiant light, life energy. This is your life force. And with the breath, you gently inhale, bringing that life force up your back, past every vertebrae to the top of your head, and immediately exhale down the front of your body, bringing it back to the base of your spine. Keep that little circle going, inhaling up the back and exhaling down the front, creating a cocoon of light, energy, that is your sanctuary. This is your place of safety that you co-create with spirit and breath. Inside this sanctuary, I like to think of the inner sanctum, as it were, your heart. Now I ask you to breathe into your heart and ask for an experience of the Spirit of Breath that you may have never had before. Ask the Spirit of Breath to reveal itself directly to you as you inhale and exhale right now. Let it come to you in whatever way it does. Give a prayer of gratitude, if you will, to the Spirit of Breath for being with you from the moment of your birth till this moment right now, within the circle that we create here in this room and virtually around the world. Ask the Spirit of Breath to let you know what you are here to give and what you are here to receive from our community of breath this week. The answers are usually very simple, direct, and to the heart. And once again, thank the Spirit of Breath. And with a few deep and clearing breaths, bring yourself back, relaxed, refreshed, and curious about the adventure that we are about to undertake together. Okay. So welcome. This community was brought together by the Spirit of Breath for purposes which we are yet to find out. I always consider this an adventure. Oh, yes, to be sure, I have my schedules and my outlines, and we've been working with the tech and all of that stuff. But what will really touch each of us, what will inspire us, is yet to be revealed. We're not here to rehash the same stuff that we already know. We're here to explore. And each person was sent here with a gift. Each person was also sent here to receive something. And so you have invited 48 other people into your circle, each one of them bringing something to you, and you giving something to each one of them. And it's nothing you have to rehearse. It's not some special speech you have to give or didactic lesson. It's your presence. You have been preparing for this your whole life. You have come to this point already with whatever you need. You're not going to leave this community at the end of the week being any more divine than you are right now. What may happen, and what I hope will happen, is that each of us will embrace that more fully. We'll realize it more personally and have more freedom to share it. So before we get into a lot of content, I believe, as I've just spoken, that the content is already in our presence. So I'm going to ask us each to introduce ourselves simply by saying our name, where we're from, what part of the world you're coming from, and then one thing that you love about breath work, because breath work is our opportunity. Now, believe me, you put a quarter in me and I can talk for a long time about what I love about, but we're asking each person, for the sake of time and brevity, just to say one thing, what comes to you. It could be a word, or it could be a phrase, or maybe a gesture, I don't know, whatever you choose. But we're going to hear from everyone here in the room, and also everyone virtually that has joined us. And we have done what we call hybrid type of meetings and trainings before, but nothing of this scale. Okay, so we are pioneers here. We're doing something new that will include, well, as you'll hear, the entire world. Let's hear from our folks around the world. Okay, here's another new experiment now. We are going to pass around, actually, an iPhone that's hooked up to a speaker so that each of you can speak directly, and we'll hear, of course, you're talking in the room, but it's going to be sent directly around the world. You heard Australia, Kuwait, California, New York. Yeah. Okay, look at the delightful surprise that we've just experienced right now. Connecting with sisters and brothers around the world for a common purpose. And whenever people come together for a common purpose and they breathe together, it's called, in Latin, con, meaning with, and spiritus for breath. It's called a conspiracy. That's the foundational root of the word. It means people who breathe together. Because people who breathe together envision things and create things new. And we are here to create something new on the face of the earth. Breath is not new, of course. nor is conscious breathing new. But breath work, as we are practicing it now, is something new under the sun. I have not seen any hieroglyphics or any cuneiform records of people who divinely teach and inspire one another. We've seen lots of examples of the guru or the great master or the royalty who have been empowered by the people to speak truth, to dispense goods, to grant freedom. But we're doing something different on the planet now. We are recognizing the divinity of every human being. We're recognizing the healing power of every human being. We are sharing with one another the empowerment that comes from tapping into spirit. This is new. This is a great democratization, as it were, of freedom and power on the planet. So you are part of a conspiracy. And each of us is sent out to share that in our own special and unique way in the world. I recognize my calling. I, let's say, have a strong introverted side, but the Spirit of Breath says, no, get up there and speak out loud. Speak to people. It's like, really? And as long as I'm in my fear, then I'm anxious about it. But breath work is about bringing us out of fear into source. Breath work is that tool that we have to bring us most directly to source that I know of. In my earlier days, I thought, well, there are many tools, and indeed there are. There are many tools. And I thought, well, breath work is just another tool in the toolbox. But I've come to realize, no, it's pretty primal. It's pretty essential. I have not yet found the heights and the depths of it. And so it's invited us here to find new heights and new depths within us. What do you mean, depths? Well, as the circle of life expands, as we're creating more safety on the planet, we have to do that for ourselves. And that means, yes, we have to scale the heights and open up new vistas and new horizons. But we also have to go into the basement and find out what's down there. The circle goes downward as well as upward. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. Because if we're, as they used to say, well, that person's afraid of their own shadow. Meaning that they're really scared. Well, yes, if we're afraid of our shadow part, of that part that has come to us through ancestry, through all sorts of cultural and familiar patterns, then we stay in a very narrow range of what's okay. And who's okay? Who is safe to be with? Oh, I can't be with those kind of people because they remind me of something that I've been told was bad. And we stay trapped in our own silos. So we're going into the depths of ourselves also to bring freedom and to bring power and to bless those things which formerly we've hidden, formerly we thought we've judged as bad parts of ourselves. So we're going to explore the heights and the depths, but our core is in the center. And that's where we'll keep coming back to with all of our practices, all that we do this week. We'll keep coming back to our core. It's like we're coming out of infancy and going into toddlerhood. So the toddler feels safe with mommy, but then they want to explore. So they go off. And then they realize, oh, mommy's not there anymore. Oh, I'm gonna run back. And the next time they go a little further. And so we're all part of that exploration. We're going to go and explore maybe some psychic stuff, or maybe some trauma stuff, or maybe some just plain old hanging out with the gang stuff. There are things that are scary for different things that are scary for each of us, okay? And that person that might have triggered you in the past with some fear is sitting here in this room. You invited them. And they're here to bless you by showing that you no longer need that trigger. Okay? So you've invited the whole gang here for your coming out party. Coming out of the shell. Part of what we have done is human beings, as we have separated from unity, from source, we've been given that freedom to not stay in our authenticity. We've been given the freedom to go off and explore what it is to be separate, to feel separated, to feel lonely, to feel unwanted. And what kind of a gift is that? Well, it's the gift that's given to a child of God. A child of God has all of the powers of freedom. They can accept or not accept. They can realize and express their divinity or not. You can't make me. A creature of God, of course, just lives their destiny, lives the tree, isn't going to decide all of a sudden to be a fish or to fly. It's perfectly happy in being a tree. We've been given something a little different, though. We've been given the power to not be happy with the way we are. To not like the definitions that have been given to us. To not like the script that was handed down from grandma. Which is a good thing, of course. Because we have choice. We have the freedom to choose to empower ourselves, to create more safety, or not. And that's a very, you understand what I'm saying? That's a very important choice. You go out and touch that tree, it doesn't have the power to accept you or give you an apple or not, it's living, it's perfectly happy doing that. We have been invited into experience God's job description. Have you ever read God's job description?
Oh, go on.
Well, one of the things, of course, is creator. So we've been invited to be creators. We've been invited to be creators in our family, in our community, on our planet. And we've been given the tools to do that creation. So in the creation myth that's very popular, of course, in Western culture, I imagine there's versions of it in all creation myths around the planet. There was a lump of mud, and how did God give the power of choice, the power of freedom, the power of creativity into that lump of mud? What did God do? Breathe. God breathed and created life. You might be insulted if I told you right now, but you're a lump of mud, breathing life into you at this moment. We're all lumps of mud, breathing life into us. And we've been given the chance this week to breathe some new life into us. And to wonder, it's like, oh my God, look at how Charles is changed. He's reforming himself. He's showing his brilliance. So we get to be delighted by each other in the different ways that we create, because we're all not going to create the same way. We're all going to create something anew here. So one of the things that when we forget our divinity, we and forget that we are one in source, we create separation. And again, it's an important thing that we do that in the Christian tradition, that leaving the Garden of Eden, God created Adam and Eve, breathed life into the mud, and they were in this divine place where everything is given to them, including the choice to use their mind to separate. So part of that story, of course, in the original creation myth, is that God said, enjoy everything in nature, enjoy everything in the universe. Here is the tree of life. You come from life itself. Eat fully of the tree of life. And over here is another wonderful tree. It's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But don't eat of that. Whoa, what do you mean, don't eat of that? I've been given choice. Well, I'm just telling you, don't eat of that. It's a beautiful tree. It's our mind, knowledge, good and evil. So our mind is always creating things. That's a good thing, that's a bad thing. That's a person I like, that's a person I don't like. That's a beautiful song, and that's trash. So the mind is like a binary computer. It's always creating distinctions or value judgments, which create separation. And part of that creating separation is once you create it, you're no longer living in everything is one, everything is wonderful. You're kicked out of the garden. We kick ourselves out every time we make a judgment. Oh, those are terrible people. We don't want them in our neighborhood. Well, I've just separated myself from a rich source of friendship, of love, of knowledge. But I feel safe now because I'm in my decision about what's safe. It's these kind of people who talk this kind of language, who eat this kind of food, who do these kind of rituals. So it's important, again, that we had the opportunity, and we've all explored that. Time to come home. Really? It's time to follow that trail back. But as the myth goes, you don't just get free access back into the Garden of Eden. It's not like, oh, geez, I'm sorry, let me back. I want to be divine again. There's an angel, as the story goes, at the entrance to the Garden of Eden. And this angel has a flaming sword. It's the sword of truth. So if I don't tell the truth about myself, if I want to go back into experience the joys of divinity and connectedness, I can't be hauling with me all these judgments. Oh, I'm an unlovable person. Oh, I'm really not worthy. I'm not tall enough, or I'm not short enough, or I'm not, bright enough, or I'm not, whatever it is. You can't bring trash into the garden. It's like only truth is what helps us fully embrace and experience who we are. And so we get to, again, look at what trash we've been carrying. And this place has got a huge dumpster. Yeah, really. And so we get to let it go. And the more we do that, the more we bring ourselves into, and all of us here have had an experience of divinity. We wouldn't be sitting in this room if we didn't taste it already. We've all experienced that. And through breath in various ways. It doesn't have to be therapeutic breath work. We've all experienced that. And we want more. We want it more full time. So we get to practice this week, experiencing it more full time. We're going to do a lot of breath sessions. And you are going to facilitate a lot of breath sessions. You are going to facilitate sitting next to a person and creating safety for them while they breathe. You're going to do it in water. You're going to lead a group breathwork session. Everyone will leave this week experiencing all of those things. Okay. Now, one of the things that we are also going to experiment with, we've known about the divisions of nationality, how arbitrary they are. And so we're beyond that. Okay, we're not like, oh, we don't let anyone from Lower Slovenia in here, because no, we're conscious enough that we recognize those divisions and don't let them separate ourselves. We're conscious enough to let the divisions of people who speak different languages, or people who were raised in different cultures, or people who were of a different race. Okay? But one very deep one that still resides within us is around gender and gender preferences, because the culture pretty much dictates for most people right at birth, whether it's a midwife or in a hospital, is called the culturally identified sex. So you're a male or a female. And that's it, folks. Go off for the rest of your life and follow all the cultural scripts, what that's supposed to be. And it's so ingrained in us that we then think, oh, I'm supposed to be this way. I'm supposed to wear pink. or blue. I'm supposed to like football or dolls or, all of these things. I remember my wife telling her entrance into kindergarten, which kind of turned her off to education right away, is she saw the blocks over there and she wanted to play. And she was told, no, those are the boys' toys. There's a dollhouse over there. And she's like, what? It was like, so we are experimenting, and you already noticed on the roster that we put pronouns. So we're talking about having choice now around how we want to be identified. We're talking about having choice beyond the mind's distinction of male and female. We encouraged you on your name tags to write pronouns. And it's like, oh, that's kind of strange. What does that mean? Well, it means that there are people now who are recognizing that they don't fit into those categories and who are exercising their divine right to choose something different and to have the transparency to bring that out. So we're all learning something new, and we're all given the gift to breathe into that. Okay, we're going to take a lunch break now and nurture ourselves. And we're going to come back at 1:15 and we're going to rip and snort, because this is going to be a time for us to play and discover, and it's a co-creation. Okay, so blessings to us all.